Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the South Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, the state of California, and beyond. And tonight, what's up with transgender San Francisco? What is transgenderism, and what kinds of problems, daily problems, monthly problems, do transgender individuals face in San Francisco, San Jose, the Bay Area, and beyond? Well, the idea of transgenderism has always kind of been confused with some other terms, transsexual, transvestite. I think we're going to kind of talk about all these things and get down to the core of this, but the issue of transgenderism came to national awareness a few years ago, well, about 4 years ago, when a young teenager very close to here, I mean minutes away from here, was brutally murdered in Newark, California, Gwen Arroyo. And from that point on, I believe that the world began to look into this and to understand and open, at least open the gate for awareness about transgenderism. Now, of course, the prejudice continues. We'll talk a lot about that. Joining me from Transgender San Francisco is Lisa Ray Doomer.
Nice to meet
Got
you.
through it,
Got it?
And Bonnie Bryan.
Nice to meet you.
From Transgender San Francisco, and we're gonna dismiss some of these perceptions, and we're gonna talk straight about what's going on with transgenderism. So, how do you define? Let's define transgenderism.
Well, transgender is a blanket term to cover all of the various parts of it. Within it are the transsexuals, which are the ones who actually live their life as the opposite sex.
Okay.
There are the cross-dresser who do it, dress in the manner of the opposite sex on occasion because it feels good to them. Drag queens who are traditionally performers, who are dress over the top, become very glamorous. A lot of those are
Fabulous.
Definitely. I love them. There's also the gender queer, which is a category that really is hard to define because they often float between one gender and the other.
And it's also, genderqueer is also a relatively young term amongst the community because we're seeing it more and more amongst the younger generation that's coming out these days, where they don't want to define themselves in the stereotypical, male box or female box.
Right.
They want to be able to express, maybe they want to wear nail polish and makeup, but they still want to dress very much, if they're a boy traditionally, they still want to dress in boys' clothing, but they still want to do some more feminine things, or vice versa.
So, when did you actually know? The ultimate question. When did you actually know that there was something different? Thank you.
I have known for as far back as I can remember, probably 3, 4. I knew that there was something different about me, but
right.
I grew up in the 50s, and something like this just was not heard of. No one ever talked about it. No one ever knew about it. I thought I was crazy. Why would anyone in their right mind want to be a girl? And yet that was all I could think about. I'd go to bed at night, say my prayers, and I'd pray that in the morning I would wake up from the nightmare and I'd be the girl that I was supposed to be.
Cinderella or something.
Yes, whatever. But I've known forever. You deny it as much as you can. You push it off. This is wrong. I'm crazy. I don't want to tell anybody about this. But it keeps coming back. It's something that it's part of me. I couldn't fight it.
As for myself, I knew at a very young age. I used to steal my mom's clothing, which is a very common story. And actually it was very easy because my mom kept summer clothes and winter clothes in an extra closet in my room. So
well, good for you.
Yes, I got very lucky. Was caught several times growing up, and but like Lisa here, I thought I was alone in the world.
Right.
And, I grew up several years after her, and she is my teen mom. You know, we've been friends for a very long time now, and
so what happened? So you said, you know, getting caught.
okay.
Give me the scenario of what occurred when that happened.
You know, I would steal my mom's clothing, and you know, she did keep some things, but you know, the nicest things she always kept in her room, and you know, I always wanted the nice stuff, not you know the stuff that was in storage. And you know, my mom would eventually notice things missing because you know I wouldn't get them back, or I'd want to hold on to them so that I could you know do a little bit later, and you know she would eventually notice things missing. And where did they go? Well.
Yeah.
Check, you know, they would check my room while I was at school or something like that.
Come back and what's this?
Yeah. And,
What
you know,
is this?
And actually, I was more fortunate than most. I have a very wonderful, loving, accepting family. And about the age of 13 or 14, I was caught, again, stealing, you know, my mom's clothing. And they said, look, we're not angry that you're dressing, you know, we understand that you need to explore this. We just are angry that you're stealing your mom's clothing.
Well, that's good. I mean,
and they said to me, if you want, we will buy you a wardrobe. Well, you know, being 13, 14, especially on the East Coast in a very Christian, middle-class community, no, I can't have this. No, I can change. It's, you know, it's a phase. I don't know what I was thinking, and, well...
Yeah, well...
Eventually I figured out what I was thinking.
Right. Yeah, it must be really hard, that's all I can say. It's a hard...
Right. I was lucky that I have an older sister, 2 years older than I am. And so my mother would always box up her old clothes, the things that she had outgrown, and put them up in our garage to take to Salvation Army at some point in time. But they might sit there in boxes for a year or two. And so...
You both had your whole little, you know, portable Walmart thing
Yeah.
going there. Yeah.
So, exactly.
And our, you know, up on a shelf, and so I could go up and, you know, there was a big shelf. It was probably 8 feet across. So I could go up there and dress in my sister's clothes and just stay there. So I never really got caught, except for one time. And we had a guest house out back that my mother turned into a playroom for my brother, my sister, and I. And she'd put a lot of her old clothes up there, and there was a
classic, huh?
for my sister to dress up in. Well, I don't know if my sister ever did, but I certainly did. Well, I was there in wearing a wedding gown one day,
Okay.
and I had forgotten to lock the door of the guest house, and my brother walked in.
Uh-oh.
And he's about 3 years younger than I am, and of course, what do? Well, I made up some story, and I don't even remember what I made up, but he was young enough that he believed the story, so when I mentioned this to him at one point, he didn't even remember that ever happening.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break, a studio break, and we'll be right back with Transgender San Francisco, so stay tuned.
Σήμερα θα ήθελα να μιλήσω για την σύγχρονη βιντεοκάμερα, που είναι ένα θαύμα υψηλής τεχνολογίας, η οποία επιτρέπει...
Is shooting good video all Greek to you? How would you like to learn about all the latest video cameras? We have just what you need. In just 3 hours, you'll be shooting your own video with state-of-the-art cameras in a workshop we made just for you. This workshop is provided by KMVT Community Television. To learn more, contact us at the phone or website on your screen.
Hi, we're back here with What's Up With That with Transgender San Francisco, and Lisa, what is the most common form of transgender?
It's really hard to say that, you know, what is the percentages of male to female?
I know.
Or female
With
to
such a percentage
female to
society,
male.
right? We have to have the facts, you know.
Yeah.
It's that, I mean, I've seen statistics that say it's 50-50, that there are as many women that want to become men as there are men that become women. I've also seen that it's 75% male to female, 25% female to male.
So it all depends on who's writing the story at the time.
And it's very difficult to tell because the female to males pass so easily. It's much easier to read a male to female because, for one thing, we're generally taller than than about 95% of the female population. And so people...
Dead giveaway, huh?
You know, I mean, I'm 6 foot, and so I'm taller than a lot of people. If I'm wearing heels, I mean, that makes me even taller.
Right.
And so we're easier to read that way, particularly in San Francisco. Now, I've never had a problem anywhere else in the country, but I do get read in San Francisco because people come to San Francisco looking to find a transsexual.
Yeah.
Also, the other part of it, too, plays in with hormone treatment, hormone replacement therapy. And testosterone will overlay estrogen much better than estrogen will overlay testosterone. So, you know, if you have gone through puberty and have facial hair and are on estrogen now, or, you know, a form of it, it won't remove the facial hair, so you have to go and have special surgeries done for that. You know, you may grow breasts to a certain extent, but, you know, to really, you know, you're usually a size smaller than your closest relative. Whereas a lot of female males, you know, they start taking testosterone, their voice will drop. You know, they will grow facial hair.
Oh, really? So it's totally different.
It is. You know, and
does it cause any physical problems from taking the hormones or?
Taking female hormones, yes, because we now have the same problems that genetic women have with that. The studies that they've done, I mean, they did a big study, a Women's Health Initiative, where they studied the effects of hormones, and they actually stopped the study in the middle because of the huge increase in blood clotting, blood clots for the women.
Yeah.
And so we run the risk of that. We now run the risk of breast cancer. So taking the estrogen gives us any of the problems that a genetic woman is going to have.
Okay.
But to us, it's, you know, for us, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
is there any hard feelings between, like, let's say, the female to males and the males to females? Do you ever have a problem with that?
It seems to be a problem in some areas.
Yeah, there are large issues in some areas of the country, as well as some groups. And there's been even division in the Bay Area.
Right.
And that's one of the big projects that Transgender San Francisco has taken on, is really bridging that gap. And we are very thankful that we now have the Lou Sullivan Society has come to us and has fallen under the Transgender San Francisco umbrella now. So our trans brothers are part of us.
It's got to be one. It's got to be one community.
Right. Well, it's true. I mean, and you do see the communities get split up in so many different factions. There's so many titles, you know. And like I said in my intro, because it's like.
And things can be hard too, because, you know, female and males face a very different set of problems, set of issues, set of challenges than male and females do. So, you know, meeting on common ground somewhere, you know, when we're looking for support, we look to our own for support. And, you know, so that's created some of the division there, too.
Yeah, they're just not interested in, for some reason, they're not interested in shopping or makeup or nails or anything like that.
So you have to sit down and find some common ground there. So you're from Transgender San Francisco. Tell us about your organization. What kinds of things do you do? You talked a little bit about it. But.
We are a social outreach and education organization that's based out of San Francisco, but we try and involve ourselves throughout the Bay Area, connecting with other groups in the Bay Area, as well as...
probably nationwide.
We do receive nationwide. We try and send representatives to other nationwide events. And, you know, part of what we do is come out and do public speakings like this, providing a speakers bureau for different people that ask and request us, as well as bringing education back to our community. So one of the things that I've done personally is speaking to the San Francisco Police Department on kind of transgender issues, what we face, who we are. And one of the wonderful things is that we've brought that back to our community, saying, look, if you are confronted with a police officer, this is what's going to happen. You need to be aware that if your ID, your driver's license, says one thing, this is how they have to fill out the report. So don't take offense to, you know, something that you might, you know, understanding is a two-way street.
So you're being proactive. You're trying to stay away from the situations. And I'm sure there was some pretty difficult situations. What are the misperceptions that you think, or public misperceptions about transgenders?
Well, obviously, people don't understand why we do this. I mean,
Obviously.
It's hard to blame them because we don't know why we're driven to do this. It's something that has been in us forever, and we finally recognize it and accept who we are. But if we can't understand why we had to do this, it's hard to blame somebody else for not understanding it. But understanding us is the biggest thing. Once people get to know us, they get to meet one person. We believe that one person can change the world.
Oh, I believe so.
Because
definitely.
I've met a lot of people who accept me for who I am. I work with a lot of large companies, financial institutions, and I transitioned on the job, which meant that these financial institutions knew me as I was before and knew me after. Every single one of them has accepted me, that this is okay, because they, in fact, all one of them ask is, are you still going to answer our questions when we call you up? And when I said yes, they said, that's all we need to know. We know what kind of a job you are. We do. We know what kind of a person you are. Well, I believe that that has helped these these institutions to become a little bit more diverse in their thought that, well, hey, we know Lisa. Lisa is a great person. So maybe transgender people aren't so strange after all.
I know. It's been my experience in talking to, and talking tonight as well, that this is not something, you know, you say, well, why would someone choose this? It's just something that happened.
It's who we are. And, you know, one of the biggest, not challenges, but things that I've seen is getting people to understand that this isn't a sexual identity. This is a gender identity.
Hold that thought. That's good. We're going to go to a commercial break, a studio break, and we'll be back with Transgender San Francisco. So hang in there.
My name is Aaron. I have a wish. I want to be a cowboy. And I rope cows. And I'm going to drink milk in the saloon and yodel songs at the moon. A cowboy's life is a royal life. His saddle, his kingly throne. I want to be a cowboy.
It's estimated that as many as 33 million people worldwide are still living with HIV. So AIDS is still here, but so is the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, which has been here since the beginning of the disease, until one day, no one, anywhere, becomes infected with this terrible disease.
Hi, we're back here with Transgender San Francisco on What's Up With That. And Bonnie, we were talking and
I was just saying that, you know, a lot of misconception that I've seen is, you know, the connection of gender identity with sexual identity. And, you know, we do need to keep, and we do fall into the LGBT, which LG and B are sexual identities, where transgender is a gender identity.
So that's a big
it is a
component
difference
there.
But we all challenge the norm of what the gender role is, and that's how we're all tied. Part of it, though, is, you know, just getting people to understand who we are. Like, one of the first questions my parents asked me when I told them I wanted to transition was, so, you like boys now? Well, no, that has nothing to do with it. You know, I just
that is a
wanna be
big
me.
misconception, you know.
Yeah.
It's
It
a huge
is.
one.
It's even a misconception within the queer community as it is, the LGBT community. The LG and B do not understand that T deals with gender identity, who we feel we are, not who we like. And if you go and go into a room of transgender individuals and ask them what their sexual orientation is, you'll get all kinds of different answers. You'll get those that like, talking about male to female now, my perspective, you'll get those that like men. You'll get those that like women. And you'll get those that like both.
If you wouldn't mind, we'll start with Bonnie. Share your process of transformation. How did it all? When did it begin? When it actually got to the point where
I decided to transition. Well, I had come out here with an ex-girlfriend and gone through a very rocky period where I involved myself in some of these subcultures that weren't too terribly healthy, i.e. drugs. And when I decided to get myself clean and straighten myself out, I realized what had brought me to that point and why I had, you know, felt the need for the escapes that I was seeking out. And in that, I realized that I was not happy with who I was, and I wanted to be a woman. And at that point, I started seeking out groups here in the Bay Area, you know, all the support groups, and you know, I decided that before I even was going to do hormones, and there is the Harry Benjamin standards of care, which are, you know, what governs, you know, how we are supposed to transition. But I decided that I was going to, you know, try living my life full time, no hormones, no nothing, just as is. And then after about 3 months of that, I was like, you know what, this is what I know, this is what I want, this is what's right. I should have done this 10 years ago. And from that point on, I got myself more involved in the community. I started on hormones and started transitioning.
How about you?
Well, I fought it for so many years. I denied who I was. But it just became stronger and stronger. And it got to the point where I saw I had two choices. I could either transition or I could die. And that was the only two options that were available to me. I liked life. I chose transition. And it's been the best thing for me. We lose a lot of things when we transition.
I bet you do.
But we gain. But for the first time in my life, I liked me. Getting that alone was worth everything else.
Seem petty, right? Let's talk about employment. Is there a difficulty in getting employed as a transgender?
It's extremely difficult. A few years ago, a couple of years ago now, the Transgender Law Center did a study in San Francisco about employment in the transgender community. And some of the statistics they came up with are just horrendous. 70% of the transgender population is either unemployed or underemployed. 96% earn less than the median income in San Francisco.
And is this because they just think they can take advantage of the situation, or, I mean, in terms of the economic?
It's impossible to find a job. Even though we're protected in employment in California,
Right.
It's still.
Oh yeah.
How do you prove that somebody who says,
You don't have the qualifications.
You don't have the qualifications.
You're not what we're looking for.
Right.
Thank you for applying, but we found somebody else.
Right, exactly.
It's-
Which was Gwen's story. It's the same thing.
So you end up taking a job because you can work there.
Because you have to live.
That's right. I have a friend who is a physician. She worked at a clinic in Oregon for 8-10 years. She told them that she wanted to transition. She was fired the next day.
I'm sure.
It took her 9 months.
Ignorance is huge.
It took her 9 months to find a job.
Right.
And part of it too plays into there is a huge stereotype of transgendered individuals being sex workers. Well, yes, there is a population of that, but why is that? Because they can't find another job.
Right. Well, people wouldn't even think that would be the reason.
Right.
You know, they just
Yeah.
they like to attack, you know.
Yeah.
These facts and numbers too that Lisa brought up are based on San Francisco numbers, where we have protections, where we have an understanding community. You know, and we're not the only place in this country that has transsexual or transgender individuals.
Well, believe it or not, that's actually all the time we have for the show. I wanted to just make one quick aside. There was an issue that we didn't talk about, and we'll do it at some other time, but it is the violence issue. And I mean, we saw it here in the Bay Area with Gwen, made the national headlines as it's seriously an issue. And basically what I just want to say to people is, you know, mind your own business and leave people alone, because, you know, if you got, like my mama used to say, if you got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all, you know. That's right, Mom. So anyways, thank you so much for coming on the show, and the best of luck in your life.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
For the
We
courage to come
enjoyed
out.
being here.
Well, thank
We
you.
enjoyed it.
And to our viewing audience, as always, if you're walking down the street and you see something interesting and you wonder to yourself, hey, what's up with that? Well, tune into our show, What's Up With That. Maybe you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We'll see you next week on What's Up With That. Good night, everybody.